Hey everyone, today we are doing a full spoiler-free review of The Tainted Con by Taran Matharu. I hope I said his name right. The Tainted Con is the sequel to Dragon Rider. This is what it looks like in the US, and this is Dragon Rider in the UK. Dragon Rider came out last year. I got sent an ARC for it and it just sounded really interesting and I dived right in and I ended up loving that book. It was a 5-star read. As you can see, I have 4 copies of it. So when I was sent the digital ARC for the sequel, The Tainted Con, I was incredibly excited about it. I did put off reading this book for a while after I got it because I knew I was going to need to be in the right mood for it, and we'll get into why. But first, let me give you the basic plot of Dragon Rider, the first book. Essentially, the book is about Jai. He's a sort of elder teenager, so probably around 17 or 18, I think. Within this world that he's created, there's a lot of kingdoms, the main one being run by the Sabines. There's also the people who kind of live up in the mountains. There's people who live out on the plains, and the Sabines have sort of taken over a lot of these other cultures and everything over the years. Jai is essentially an indentured servant to the previous emperor of the Sabine Empire. He's now a very old man. His son is now emperor instead. Jai's father was the leader or the Khan of this great tribe that lived out on the plains. They're called the Steppe Folk. When his father was defeated in battle, Jai and his brothers were taken to sort of the palace and sort of raised there instead. Now, Jai's brothers are full-blooded sons of his father. Jai is technically the bastard child between this Khan and one of his courtesans, if you will. So because of that, Jai's brothers are treated with a bit more respect, and Jai ends up being basically the keeper of the old man, making sure he gets dressed and eats his food and keeps his schedule and all that. The emperor's grandson is now in a betrothed marriage with the princess of the Dansk tribe. And the Dansk tribe is known for having this soul bond with dragons. The Sabines soul bond with griffins. Jai and the steppe folk soul bond usually with these animals called kiros, which are very similar to like rhinos. This marriage is supposed to be very advantageous. They're going to marry the eventual emperor with the princess of the Dansk. They have dragons, blah, blah, blah. But of course, you know, things never go as they seem, right? Dragon Rider is a very political-based book. It's much closer to like a high fantasy style book as opposed to just a regular fantasy. I loved Dragon Rider. I like political fantasies. I think the world that was created was really interesting. I was really curious where we were gonna go with all of these players, all of these characters we've been introduced to. I will say though, naming the book Dragon Rider was both very smart and very terrible. This is obviously coming off the heels of Fourth Wing, so people see a book called Dragon Rider in the store and they go, yeah, that sounds good. Let's get that. There's dragons and people ride them. Really, at no point in book 1 are dragons ridden. Jai does steal a dragon egg at one point in this book. And so there is a dragon, but it is a baby dragon. It is a small cat-sized dragon. But besides all that, I loved it. I was really excited to see where this was going. Then we get to The Tainted Con, which is book 2. So I knew going into this was a political high fantasy. And yet, I was incredibly bored with this book. I don't have a physical copy, but according to Goodreads, it clocks in over 600 pages. At the beginning of this book, we see Jai has been sort of separated from the friends he has made in the first book, which is fine. I was fine with them being separated, but it takes so long for any of these people to come back together again that I just didn't care anymore by that point. Jai spends the vast majority of this book sort of learning about his people that he was taken from, which is interesting at parts and I think is good, but the same information just keeps getting told again and again and again and again. A lot of it is him learning how to use his soul bonded powers, which instead of actually practicing magic or practicing certain things, it's almost exclusively him soul breathing, which basically means he just meditates and sort of fills up his magic core. It's not very interesting to read on the page. When we finally do have Jai actually learning some really concrete good stuff in terms of his magic, it's very rushed for some reason. Then towards the end, we get this big battle, which again felt very rushed to me. We've spent all this time doing this deep dive on the tribes of the steppe folk, and it's just not particularly interesting after a while. On top of that, Jai does not feel like the same character that he was in the first book. In the first book, I thought he was around 14 or 15 years old. Maybe they actually say his age at some point in it, but that's how I was picturing him. He's a teenager, but he's, a younger teenager. He's kind of gangly. He's kind of awkward. He's very quiet. He doesn't like confrontation. He's kind of like almost like a background character in his own story. Then he's forced to go out and take care of himself and learn about magic and all this stuff. But now suddenly in book 2, he's trying to take back his tribe, the tribe of his father. And to do that, he has to be this great Khan of thousands of people, if not tens of thousands of people. And suddenly he's like this kind of badass, and he's described as like super ripped now. All of a sudden, I feel like he jumped age. The time lapse of book 2 is maybe only a couple months, but it feels like he goes from being a 15-year-old to like a 25-year-old all of a sudden. And I don't think he's particularly smart, really, but the author tries to make you feel like he's really smart, when really it's that he's written all the other characters around Jai as very stupid. So the things Jai does is kind of obvious, like, yeah, why wouldn't you do that? Of course you would do that. It's not really well thought out. I also think the name The Tainted Khan is a terrible name for a book. It is an accurate name for the book. When you go from a first book being called Dragon Rider to then The Tainted Khan, it's a very different type of book all of a sudden. I was reading this book quickly in order to do this review on here before the book comes out. If I had not sort of set a very specific time constraint on getting this book done, it probably would have taken me at least 3 or 4 months to read this book. I would have read a chapter or two and I would have put it down. I don't want to say this was a hate read. It was not a hate read. It was just a bored read. And it's hard because I am still curious what will happen in book 3, and I do probably still plan to read book 3, but not with the same excitement that happened with book 2. I know a lot of people I talked to liked Dragon Rider, but overall thought it was really slow, in which case you are really not going to like this one. I have no idea how many books this plans to be, though I really hope it's just going to be a trilogy and be done. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm just kind of disappointed in it, honestly. I'm going to read book 3, but it's going to be a tentative book 3 read. Once the book comes out, it's just going to kind of depend on how I feel. And if I do read book 3, it's going to be probably my least priority book that I'm reading at the time. So The Tainted Khan, I rated 2.75 stars. These are not spicy fantasy books. Please be aware. Not spicy. And it does come out April 22nd. If you've read Dragon Rider, I'd love to know what you think about it. And if you've read The Tainted Khan, I would also really love to know what you thought about it. Thanks, everyone.